Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are looking at the Brawler today. The Brawler was first released in 1991 and unfortunately was discontinued in 1992. This has a crushing twin side missile launchers and reactive armor paneling. Um, it's an interesting vehicle in a lot of regards. This is almost like it's a experimental vehicle, really, to kind of help fit a couple different roles. Kind of like when we had the battle bunker uh, as a vehicle, this would be like a direct kind of vehicle to take over for the battle bunker in a lot of regards. So, getting the pictures that we have here, you get to see all the different weapon systems that we have, and actually, there are quite a few here. It looks to me almost like it's a tank really just dropped on top of a old 113 tracked vehicle. Uh, Being that big boxy style, it looks like a 113 with everything else on board. Again, and as always, GI Joe really is a good testing ground for a lot of experimental vehicles. So when I look at it in those regards, this does make sense. Hey, here's an existing vehicle. Let's soup this up to do something spectacular, and whether it fails or succeeds, they'll find out in the field fighting against Cobra or some of the other aggressors that G.I. Joe typically runs up against. So, for my screen, more so than probably yours, depending on how you're looking at this, um, the blueprint does have a significant amount of weapons on board, which we will get into when we do our D6 conversion of it. And then we have all of the assembly here. So we do have missiles which do launch. Um, let's see, we do have a cannon which is on a turret, which also has a um, like an anti-infantry or whatever machine gun on top of that. We also have some side cannons on here. Not really listed here that I think you guys get to see in putting all this together, but there are grenade launchers listed as being on the side. So that's a fun addition to it all as well. Okay, so this has been featured in trading cards, comic books, and so on and so forth. This is the picture that we have on our D6. So hopefully we can see things. This gives us a little bit more of a clear picture as we have our cannons on the side, our big missiles here, our main artillery cannon, as well as our machine gun here, our six grenade launchers. Typically, these would be smoke grenades, but seeing that they have them as grenades, I'm just leaving them as grenades themselves. Let's see other variations. We have the Brawler from '91 and a Brawler, which is a whole different machine in 2002. Really based off of the old Humvee. And last but not least, here at yojo.com, there is no listed retail price on this, so I really don't know what to tell you that this had actually gone for when it originally came out. But taking a wild stab in the dark, I'm going to say it's probably about a $15 mark. Things had gotten a little bit more expensive, so I don't think it's going to be about our $8 to $10. I'm thinking it's going to be $12 to $15 mark, somewhere in there. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, but that's just what my gut feeling tells me. All right, let's look at our D6 stats and go from there. All right, so looking at the Brawler here. This is going to be at our speeder scale. I'm keeping the length of 30 feet. Now, I don't know if would actually be accurate or not, but it is somewhere in that ballpark, so I figured I'd leave it there. We do have one driver and then two gunners. Now, that's not to say that the driver couldn't be a gunner for one of the systems or not, but I'm just leaving it as one driver and two gunners with two passengers on the tail bumper, uh, which is a typical thing for our GI Joe vehicles. Uh, 80 kilograms for our cargo capacity, and I'm going to give everyone a full coverage because I usually do with a lot of the vehicles. Maneuverability, from where I kind of captured this from, had a 1D plus 1. This is a tracked vehicle with everything on here. You know, I think that's probably okay. Didn't really see much of a need to change it from there. Our speed is going to be about 35 miles an hour because it's tracked. Typically, with a lot of our tracked vehicles, it's about as fast as we're going. Body strength, I have this up to a 5D for speeder, because it does talk about extra armor on the vehicle. So I'm giving that what I think it really deserves, giving it a 5D. Now we start off with the mobile field artillery cannon. I put this at Walker scale, going anywhere from 800 meters out to 5 kilometers at a fire control of 2D and a damage of 6D. We also have the two heavy missiles, and this again is going to be at Walker scale, same range, but with a fire control of 3D plus 1. All right, so we have our 6 grenade launchers. Uh, Again, front facing, personnel scale, 9D for damage, fire control is 1D plus 1. These are right on top, both left and right side of the main cannon. Uh, Typically, when I see them on the vehicle, because I remember having these clusters on, say, like some of the tanks and all that stuff. I don't believe we had them on the Bradley when I was in the army. We actually could dump some oil into our fuel, and we could generate our own smoke. So we didn't have that on there. We could generate our own smoke by just dumping extra oil in there. Um, but you know, knowing a standard grenade launcher, you do want to have some range out there. It's got to go so many rotations before it self arms. So unlike what we saw in like Terminator 2, where he's standing 10 feet away, that just doesn't happen. All right. We also have our dual repeating heavy repeating blasters on on there. Now these are front facing personnel scale. Fire control is 1D, and it's going to be a damage of 7D between them all. Let's see. We also have another heavy repeating blaster. Actually, shoot, I think I'm messing this up because this is just one. That should be 90 for our dual, because it's four of them. Our heavy repeating blaster all the way up on top, which is sitting right above our main cannon. That's on the turret. Personnel scale, fire control is 1D, and it has a damage of 6D. Uh, so looking at it in that regard, it's an interesting machine. Now, how tactically useful it is or whatever else, I really couldn't tell you. As a toy, this arm back here is what raises and lowers our missiles. So it's kind of like a counterweight balance or whatever, and also meant to shoot, because this is when we got a little bit more spring-loaded missiles and stuff like that, which is fun for the kids. And I'm not going to say it's not, and I'm not going to take away from that. It is fun for the kids, um, but they're big honking missiles here, and it's all right. It's GI Joe, and like I said, a lot of the stuff I look at, it's taking what might already be there or a conceptual vehicle and throwing it out there as experimental, uh, to see how well it actually does handle things. And maybe it's, some of these might be like one offs. The hey, let's just try this and see how well it works. And if it doesn't really work, then we'll just kind of nix it and it's just done. No big deal. Um, but you also want someone to really try it out. And if you just throw it out there as a small production for a military force, say like GI Joe, who can actively use it in a combat situation, knowing that it's experimental and it may fail, and then they may have some other vehicles, so to give it some support, you can truly test it in a proper, you know, active combat situation. So here we are. With that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. Hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.